This is Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top questions and the things you struggle with most so you can have more energy and less decision fatigue about what to eat, how to move, and you can change your thoughts to Flip 50 with the life and the energy you love in this second half. Today I'm talking all about constipation. And I've got to tell you that I am certain, as a student in exercise science, some 35 years ago, never once did I aspire to write a blog, an article, or do a podcast about constipation. But that is, in fact, what I'm doing. So if you're an older adult, you're working with older adults, or you have older adult parents, it's going to come up. Truly, it comes up with younger people more than you might suspect too. Women in general tend to think that it's just them or it's just their normal. Any one of these 7 things alone here may help you, and combining them will buff up your digestive system or that of your parents, maybe of your children, if you try them. Because one thing is for sure, irregularity is not normal, and there is no need and no reason or justification in 2018 with everything else we have to cope with that we should put up with it. So, before the Metamucil, the suppositories, the enemas, let's talk about what you can do more easily, more comfortably, and more predictably. So if you're reluctant to exercise because you feel heavy, bloated, you're definitely not alone. We're going to start with magnesium. Magnesium is one of the most frequent micronutrient deficiencies for women. It's a powerhouse for health, though. So it helps you relax, improves your sleep, it aids a thriving metabolism and prevents headaches. It also helps with constipation. We've got an RDA of 400 milligrams, but RDAs, remember, were designed to prevent disease, not necessarily to help you thrive in 2018. A number of things can also deplete you of magnesium. Even whatever it is you're taking in, if it's adequate, you may not be absorbing, or your daily activities, just the habits that you have, are depleting it, meaning you really need more all the way around. Even if you've got a multivitamin with magnesium in it, an evening, and this is really with dinner, it's better absorbed with food, magnesium supplement can help you sleep and help elimination in the morning. If you start with, say, a 200 or 250 milligram dose, you can test that for a few days, and then you can double that small dose really easily. Now, if you have a 500 milligram dose, that's a big jump from that to now you're at 1,000. That's big. So it's starting with 150, with 200, even with 400. It's easy to manipulate and change things around. If you think you have a sensitive stomach, I would look for 200 or 250. And here's what I want you to know. So first of all, I'm not a registered dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, and I won't pass myself off as that. But I am schooled in nutrition and actually in micronutrient deficiency testing, such that we can look at signs and symptoms and know immediately. If you wanted to take a lab test, that's really very easy to do. You don't have to order it through your doctor. You can order it yourself and find out what's going on. But I would first take advantage of the fact magnesium is a 2 tolerance kind of a supplement. You need a different amount than I do. And if there are 500 women listening to this podcast right now, we all may have slightly different needs. So it is not one that has any sort of a buildup or can become toxic. So your body is going to tell you essentially that it's got enough or too much. And here's how you'll know. Because magnesium can help relieve constipation, the flip side is if you do too much, you can cause diarrhea. So what you're going to experience is kind of a sweet spot between if you need more sleep, you will get better sleep, probably a deeper, more high quality sleep, and you'll be finding where that happens and where your digestion is just right in that sweet spot, right where you want it to be. So you're looking for that. So I would start with a low dose, do that for 3 to 5 days, increase it slightly, see how you do there, and likewise keep adjusting as you need to. But it's not going to be something that I would say you do it and you're going to stop because then your need will be over. It's just something that on a daily basis we probably need more in our bodies on a regular basis. So think of it that way. A bath in Epsom salt may appeal to you more, and you do absorb the magnesium from the Epsom salt across your skin. But that method is probably best for enhancing your sleep, while getting magnesium right into your gut is going to help you more with digestion. So number 2 is fiber. I have a pop quiz for you. Who knew, right? Number 1, it's only 2 questions. You've got this. Do you know how many grams of fiber you should get on a daily basis? Number 2, do you know how many grams of fiber you get or consume on a daily basis? So, if you're not digesting optimally, no matter what the answer, it's not working. So let's look at increasing it. And here's how we start. Start by knowing what your average intake is right now. Then add 5 grams to that and stay right there for a week. And then add 5 more grams to that and stay there for a week. And then let your body slowly digest. So a lot of us type A's, and I say us, would look at, well, I don't know what I'm taking in average, but tell me what the goal is and I can do that, right? If we give you a target, you will run toward it. But that could be a mistake if on average you're getting 15 grams of fiber daily, which is the average, by the way, and it falls short of the recommended, and then suddenly you try to shoot for 30. That's like double, and your body is not going to be happy. It's either going to be constipated because maybe you're not upping the water as much as you need to relative to the fiber, or it may have diarrhea, right? Not good either, or gas. None of those are good, right? But by the way, I want to let you know that although magnesium acts as a friendly support in relieving constipation, it doesn't give you any of those harsh side effects that over-the-counter medicines are going to do, or that harsh fibers that you might add to your food is going to do. Now, here's what I want to do. Make sure that you're understanding that. You don't want harsh fiber supplements that come from one source of fiber. So your body is used to eating, a plate full of food, right? That's some greens, maybe some fruit, some salad, some other vegetables, meat, minimal amounts of fiber, carbohydrates, maybe some potatoes or beans. That's a mixed plate of fiber from different fiber sources. That's what it's used to. So if you give it from one source, that doesn't really handle it quite as naturally. Flipping 50 fiber boost. And here's the only reason I did that. This is not sexy protein shakes, right? Protein shakes are kind of sexy. They're about building muscle, giving you tone, and they taste good. Fiber doesn't taste good. It doesn't taste at all, which is a plus. But the reason I'm using it is because a lot of women I'm working with are not getting enough fiber. They don't feel like moving or exercising because they feel bloated. And I don't mean the kind of bloat right before a period. I mean, you're actually full. You feel like you're carrying around extra weight and have extra pressure down below in your lower intestines. And you probably are. So especially if you have significant amounts of weight to lose, a little fiber will help you, and you want to make sure you're regular. And that's not one of the things kind of plugging you or stopping your progress. So the fiber boost that I've got pulls fiber from 5 different sources: cranberries, apples, flax, and a total of 5 food sources, so that it is like a plate or a bowl of food that you would eat from pulling things together from your kitchen. So is it ideal? Not necessarily. I'd rather have you get it from food in your kitchen, but a lot of us struggle to do that. One of the easiest ways for me to do it, I'm very conscious of it, and I want to do it, is a smoothie. Because, I can stand there and count how many grams of fiber in chia seeds, how many in my fiber boost that I'm adding, how many in the nut or the nut butter I'm adding, and in the avocado. And I know that when I'm having a smoothie that's packed with all that, my fiber count for a smoothie is between about 15 and 20 grams. That's almost more than some people have a day. And that's only breakfast, right? So I might have a second smoothie for a post-exercise snack halfway through the afternoon, or for lunch and dinner, I'm having things with beans and quinoa and all of those healthy vegetables that I promote. Those are a huge source of fiber and a way for you to help yourself be more regular. So think about the recommended, for a woman who's over 50, daily amount of fiber is 21 grams. The average American gets 15. And we wonder why we're so stressed and constipated. Really? Paleo and caveman era people ate 135 grams a day. Shoot for, right? Once you're increasing by that 5-gram increment each week to change it up, shoot for between 35 and 50 grams, especially if you have significant weight to lose. So getting that on a consistent basis, that'll take some adaptation, as your body is not used to that right now. But if you are more full on fiber, you will not have room or desire for a lot of the things that might sidetrack you otherwise. We can't have a discussion about fiber without talking about water. So that's up next. Fiber, Metamucil, laxatives, none of it is going to work without adequate water. So look at your water intake. A family member recently told me she was drinking 4 or 5 glasses a day. Not enough, clearly. If you increase fiber, you have to increase your water too. So pay close attention to that. My mom has a hard time drinking more water. And my mom's 91. And I know a lot of 50-year-olds who have a lot of hard time drinking more water. But I've got a few suggestions if that's you. Sparkling water, for instance, with a little stevia or fruit added to make it more appealing, both eye candy and flavor. And putting a few grapes or strawberries in your water is not going to add enough sugar to matter. It's probably worth it for the trade-off. But I would not suggest sugary drinks like coconut water, kombucha. Those are not your friend. Those are soda trade-offs, right? So let's just beware. More soups are a good idea. And then there's one more secret weapon, and that's bone broth. And I noticed this totally accidentally because it's become a way for me to increase my liquid fluid intake. Kettle and fire bone broth has become a new passion, let's say, instead of obsession, just because it's a little nicer. But I find myself drinking it because it tastes so good. I've been drinking bone broth for about 3 years because it's good for me. I'm that girl. I will do that. I floss. I will occasionally do wheatgrass shots, not because they're good, but because those things are good for me. But I suddenly love it. It's actually great tasting. And so it's so nice to know it can be good for me, tastes great, and it feels good all the way around. So I'm sending my mom a care package, especially in cooler months. It's a great addition to, say, an afternoon go-to or mid-morning, just like a cup of tea, but it's going to be even more hydrating than a tea that might have a little caffeine in it. So it also is boosting her protein, which I know is something else she needs. Now that's not related at all to this discussion on digestion and constipation. However, if you've got older adults and you're thinking about them or you're thinking about yourself, and hydration is something you'd love to be doing more of because you know it will help you, but it's a challenge, and you know you need more protein, Kettle and Fire has a solution. Digestive enzymes are next on my list. Significant literature exists about the reduction of digestive enzymes as we age. By age 75, there's a theory that digestive enzymes are reduced to a very low percentage of what we had as young adults. So if you're eating under stress frequently, you too also may not have the digestive enzymes that help you break down food beneficially even in your 50s. A digestive enzyme is one idea, right? And you're probably going to want to target relief and get your regularity back first, for lack of other words, and then start absorbing all the goodness in the foods you've eaten by increasing that digestive enzyme. So you may be more concerned with, all right, let's take the magnesium and work on the fiber and the water to get more regular. But once you are, then boost with that digestive enzyme so that you're breaking down all the food that you are taking in. And although that may or may not be directly related to constipation, it's absolutely related to being able to absorb more. And right along that lines is a probiotic. Balance your good and your bad gut bacteria by taking a probiotic. You can try yogurt with active cultures. I know yogurt was recommended for my mom by her doctor, but we had found that she did better without gluten, wheat, and dairy. So a probiotic is another pill, yes, but you can also find it in powder form, and that mixes into water really easily. I sampled, for lack of a better term, for about a month, a powdered probiotic that just, I stirred it into the first glass of water that I have when I wake up, and then it was the last glass of water I had at night, and actually really liked it. I liked it better than the idea of taking a pill. So I don't have that name on the tip of my tongue. You can comment below if you'd like more information. I will try and dig that up for you. And then fat. So I'm going to take a stab and guess that many older generation adults don't get adequate healthy fats as they age. For one, living alone. They're less inclined to cook their own meals, to really cook a meal. Now, they may eat dinner, but I know that I happen to know some people for whom that might be cheese and crackers, right? And a few grapes, and that's it. So, making sure, and in that combination, yes, cheese is fat, but making sure that there's healthy olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, which is actually my new rave, simply because of this. I've learned that olive oils that we find on the shelf are not necessarily what they're labeled to be and what we're led to believe. Many of them are rancid, or they're not 100% olive oil. And when you look at one of my other favorites, coconut oil, I still use that as staple in my kitchen, and I love it, especially when I'm cooking some Asian flair foods or stir frying at the beginning of an Asian flavored or Asian inspired soup. But it's missing monounsaturated fat. So I've switched to avocado oil for 90% of my cooking. I love the taste, and I go through a bottle every couple of weeks. That's just me cooking for me. And I'm a part of the avocado oil club, right? You can have your wine, but that's what I'm doing. And you've got to, back to digestion, put together that oil or fat actually helps lubricate your eyes, your hair, your nails, but it does the same thing internally. So making things slide easier through. All right, you got me. Last but not least, shall we address the obvious at this fitness site? I realize you may not feel like moving a lot if you're full, you're bogged down, or you're bloated, but start with one or two, of these things I've already mentioned, and then start walking. Even walking as far as exercise can help significantly with, getting things moving, gets things moving. It's how it works. Even that'll help. So then target your core. Target core exercises. You can do that two ways, indirectly, by adding strength training. Whenever you're strength training, you have to be bracing that core, and that's good for it. Strong core muscles will help you move things easier through the system, right? But you also can directly do core exercises. So a few simple things to do in case either you can't move more vigorously or you're dealing with an older adult who, down and up on the floor is probably not a good idea if you're worried about their lower back at all. But these things may be better. So have them sit in a chair, or you sit in a chair away from the back, and then move your knees as if you're marching. So essentially, you're just going to have one foot on the floor, and you're not after speed here. You're actually after going a little slower, just up and down and alternate legs, just like you were marching, because it's going to force you to sit up and use your core to stabilize. So you're working it, even though it's not very stressful. The next one is use an exercise band. And by this, I either mean that one is tied together, a band, a flat band, not a tube necessarily. So you're going to either tie one together that maybe came from physical therapy, or it's just a loop. I call it a Versa loop, and I use one that comes from a specific company. And you put that right above your knees, sitting in a chair still for this one. So we'll progress to standing in the next one, but sit toward the edge of your seat with your feet together, knees together. The band should be taut at that point. And then you're going to leave your feet together, and you're going to move your knees open and closed and open and closed. And in order to sit upright, you are using the outside of your hip to do some of the work, but you're using your core again to stabilize. Now, still with the band, same spot above the knee, stand and side step and go, say, 4 to one side and then 4 back the other way, and then try 6 and then go 8. Or you could count down, go 8 and then go 6 back and forth and then 4 back and forth. See how you feel. Starting that ladder from the highest repetition to the lowest may be smarter in case you think you'll fatigue before you go very long. So you want to make sure that you're not dragging your trail leg. So you're going to step together, but actually not let the band pull you all the way in. So you're still working and still working the core. If you can lie down on the floor, this last exercise is just starting with stabilization exercises. And I'm going to give you a link to the video since it's really difficult. I've done a fairly good job, I'm hoping you agree, with these first few, but getting you down on the floor and talking you through it, if you haven't seen it, would be a challenge. So it gets a little bit Greek. So I'm going to put a link to a video. And if you're really ready, you want something that specifically starts you as a beginner, and then once you're ready, progresses to an intermediate version of a series of exercises, and then progresses you to an advanced, you can get the Flat Abs, Better Back DVD. It is a part, by the way, of the whole flip. If you already have that, you don't need both, but you could get Flat Abs, Better Back all by itself and be set if that's all you need. Don't need the cardio and don't need the strength. So thanks so much for joining me. If I left a question in your mind, send it to me. I want to do a really quick recap. If you don't have constipation, even when you travel, you're in great shape. Keep these things in mind, that they will keep you walking down this path of good gut health. The 7 natural solutions for constipation: magnesium, fiber, water, digestive enzyme, probiotic, fat, and exercise. And not necessarily in that order. But for those of you who are already regular exercisers, sometimes changing up your exercise and then making sure you go back through the other 6 things that I talked about here can really give you a boost. Hope that was helpful. If you have another question, put it below the show link and then join us on the Flipping 50 Facebook page. That's Flipping 50 TV, and get all the juicy resources and links that I mentioned below the show notes today. And if you enjoyed the show, I would really appreciate a rating in iTunes. And then share this with a friend, maybe, right? To surround yourself with a supportive community of women on the same journey. What are you waiting for? Start Flipping 50 today.